I feel that any religion has the potential to use its doctrines to harm children. And when I was studying all these cases and interviewing a lot of people, I kept coming back to this combination of three factors which seem to be infused in the culture of the victims. And what I concluded was, regardless of the brand of religion, if a child is being raised in a religious authoritarian culture, whether a culture is a place of worship, community, household, then I believe that children are at particular risk for religious child maltreatment. And when I talk about religious authoritarianism, the perfect storm characteristics, as I call them, include a very strict social hierarchy, so that you have certain people in the community that are much more powerful than everybody else. The membership is fearful. So whether it's the ideology that's feeding that fear, or the customs, the rules where those who don't abide by them are treated harshly, they could be shunned or excommunicated. Thirdly, the culture is socially separatist. You can have religious cultures in an urban environment where kids, well, for example, Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, they're all communicating with those outside of the faith, but it's all under the guise of proselytizing. Children in that faith generally are not encouraged to have relationships, and certainly close relationships, with those who are not of that faith. So when you have this social separatism, it can still cause the same kind of damage as if the group was located out in some rural area somewhere. Religion is a funny thing because so much of it is directed by individuals who make it all hum. It all has to do with the people who are doing it, but it's not just those who are in charge. It's also those who are what psychologists might call authoritarian followers. Sort of a two-way street that happens. Probably, though, the biggest problem I think that we face as a society when it comes to these problems is America's religious sensitivity. And I've seen this come up in so many different ways, where people's fear that our religious rights are going to be taken away kind of trample over children's rights, their rights to live a safe, happy, and healthy life. There's one case that really propelled me to want to write the book. And it took place in Baltimore, involving a toddler named Javon Thompson. He was starved to death by a group of individuals who were all part of this religious group called One Mind Ministries. The reason why they denied him food and water was because he wasn't saying amen at mealtimes. And the leader of this group told everyone they had to keep him isolated and not give him any food to eat or water to drink, and that's what they did. At that time, the state of Maryland was about to enact a religious exemption, where they were going to say that if a child is neglected, it's really not neglect. It's not going to be considered neglect if it was religiously motivated. So they were bringing into play this religious exemption idea that most states had done, decades before. Well, the prosecutor of Baltimore realized that if the legislator enacted that religious exemption, she probably wouldn't be able to prosecute the One Mind Ministry people. So she lobbied the legislature to not include that in the abuse statute, and it ended up getting wiped out. I'd like to read a passage from the Bible. I'm not an all Bible hater, because I recognize that the Bible was written by untold numbers of individuals. And just because, as I said before, religion is people, there were some good folks in there. Here's a passage from Isaiah 11. And you'll recognize the first two lines because a lot of people quote from this, but they don't finish the passage. And the best part of it is at the end. It says, "The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, The calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. It's like painting this picture of a peaceful society. I mean, that's beautiful. I recognize that the Bible has beauty in it. But I think what's important is to understand that, you know, you had some shitheads writing stuff in the Bible too. And all I'm asking people to do, as you say, is to scrutinize it. Yeah. To say it's okay to love parts of it, and it's okay to say that because you think that God tells you to sacrifice your child, you're going to go up to Mount Moriah and slit his throat. I mean, that's not okay. It's okay to say that's not okay. The whole idea that we must protect our culture from scandal has led to huge problems, and it is oftentimes used to justify failure to report or not cooperate with investigators when they do come and when they see problems. It's, I think, an ingrained concept, an ingrained dogma, if you will, that we must protect our faith, our community, our church. It's in every religion that I've come across in the Western world. If you need to understand what abuse is, and if you see it going on, you need to do whatever you can to stop it. And I don't think there's ever a situation where religious rights get to trump children's rights.